The Torstenson War was a conflict fought between Sweden and Denmark-Norway in the mid-17th century. The war took place from 1643 to 1645 and was named after the Swedish general Lennart Torstenson, who led the Swedish forces. In the early 17th century, Sweden was a rising power in Europe and had already established a significant presence in the Baltic region. Denmark-Norway, which controlled much of the region's trade and commerce, saw Sweden as a threat to its power and began to build up its military forces. The Torstenson War began in 1643 when Swedish forces invaded Danish-held Schleswig-Holstein. The Swedes quickly gained control of the region and moved their forces into Denmark. The Danish resistance was strong, and the war soon turned into a protracted conflict. The war was fought on land and sea, and involved some of the most advanced military technologies of the time. The Swedes employed modern artillery and cavalry tactics, while the Danes relied on more traditional methods of warfare. Despite the strength of the Danish resistance, the Swedes were eventually able to defeat the Danes and establish control over the region. The Danes were forced to sign the Treaty of Brömsebro, which recognized Swedish control over Schleswig-Holstein and other territories. The Torstenson War had significant political and economic consequences for Sweden and Denmark-Norway. For Sweden, the war was a major victory and helped to establish its position as a dominant power in the Baltic region. The success of the war also had domestic political consequences, as it helped to bolster the reputation of the Swedish government and monarchy. For Denmark-Norway, the war was a humiliating defeat and marked the beginning of a long period of decline. The loss of Schleswig-Holstein was particularly significant, as it represented a strategic and economic asset for Denmark. The Torstenson War was a significant event in the history of Sweden and Denmark-Norway. It marked the beginning of Swedish dominance in the Baltic region and established Sweden as a major European power. The war had lasting political and economic consequences for both countries, and its legacy can still be seen in the region today.